Here's the Wendy's race menu as we come back to Chicagoland Speedway the next couple of weeks. The Winston Cup action is on TNT. Next Sunday, New Hampshire International Speedway, new pavement there. And then the 2.5-mile Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania the following week. Then it's on to Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400 and the road course in Watkins Glen as we follow the race for the championship on NBC and TNT. Tony Stewart started on pole, has led all of the 16 laps that have been run so far today. The defending NASCAR Winston Cup champion, seeking his second win of 2003. He's out in front by 0.6 of a second over Bill Elliott. Then Jeremy Mayfield, Jamie McMurray, and Casey Mears make up the rest of the top 5. Just outside the top 5, Jeff Gordon, who started the race on the outside of the front row, has fallen back to the 6th position, a little over 6 seconds behind the leader. We talked at All right, come back to that in a second. Those of you at home who bought specially marked packages of Tropicana Pure Premium, you should have received a lap number from TropicanaRacing.com. Remember that lap number throughout the race. If Jeff Gordon records his fastest lap today on your lap number, you'll be entered into a drawing to become part of Jeff Gordon's pit crew for the 2004 Tropicana 400. Maybe you can pass in his Tropicana through the window.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
We talked when Matt Yoakum interviewed Jeff Gordon during Discover Card Countdown to Green. He mentioned, Jeff, how are you feeling? Jeff had been ill earlier this week. I spoke with Jeff at the driver's meeting a couple of hours before green flag time. I said, what was wrong? He said, fever, kind of flu symptoms. Now he's just got a little chest congestion. But see, he said he was running a heck of a fever earlier this week, and about Tuesday was really not feeling very well at all.
Yeah, it's fortunate he had 5 days to recuperate and get some fluids inside of him because he didn't feel like he could do a race on Tuesday.
But the thing is, when you're sick and you get one of these race cars, you actually forget about it. It actually helps when you get one of these cars because that's the last thing you think about, and you sweat it out.
Yep.
Get that adrenaline going, it becomes the prominent thing.
And there's the three-peat contender behind him, Kevin Harvick there. Now check back on Jimmy Johnson. Remember, we talked with him on the pace laps. Dropped to the end of the field after the engine change. He's made nice progress.
He's taken 25th spot right there if he can pull it off from Kurt Busch, and does it.
And you see the gap from Jimmy Johnson up to Tony Stewart. 19, almost 20 seconds behind in their relative positions on the racetrack. That's something a lot of guys were concerned about this morning with Tony Stewart having such a fast car in yesterday's practice, was if we got a long green flag run at the start of the race, him putting an awful lot of people a lap down.
And that's going to happen because Tony Stewart is not that far in lapping cars. Christian Fittipaldi is now 30 seconds behind. In a couple of laps, he'll be lapped.
And so Jimmy Johnson's got to keep the whip out on that horse to keep from being caught from behind and put a lap down by Tony Stewart.
The thing is, too, don't forget, Jimmy Johnson's going through traffic, and Tony Stewart's had a clean racetrack the whole time. So Tony Stewart's going to have to pass all these guys that Jimmy Johnson just passed. So Jimmy can just maintain that pace he's going. I think he'll be all right.
Johnson's last lap was a 31.78, and the leader's was a 31.40. So he was about 0.3 off Tony Stewart's time in that traffic. Tony Stewart out in front. He's increased his advantage over Bill Elliott to 1.2 seconds. 22 of 267 laps complete in the Tropicana 400. Chicagoland Speedway, NASCAR and NBC bringing you the Tropicana 400, third running of this event at this 1.5-mile track, 920 acres, about an hour's drive south of the Loop in Chicago. And the man who's having the easiest drive right now is Tony Stewart, the race leader. How about the old Aflac trivia quiz? Saw rookie Greg Biffle win at Daytona last week. Who was the last rookie to win back-to-back NASCAR Winston Cup races?
Okay, folks, we'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. There he is. Tony Stewart, Phoenix and Homestead back in 1999. That was impressive. Actually, rookie winning 2 in a row.
Actually capped off his rookie year by winning 2 of the last 3 races in '99. Michael Waltrip and Joe Nemechek racing for 11th and 12th positions. Mikey exploring the upper ground like he did all day yesterday.
Now that's a real shock. The 15-car Michael Waltrip getting up in the high groove. He loves to run up there.
Joe Nemechek started in 17th position. So he's moved up about a handful of spots. Michael Waltrip started in the 12th position and has pretty much held ground.
That's pretty even.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in the blue car. Hendrick Motorsports in the red and black. We'll give that one to Joe. So Nemechek to 11th and Michael Waltrip back to 12th. I can't imagine yesterday, even here today, the first time that Michael decided to say, okay, everybody else is running the bottom, I'm going to go to the top, that he wasn't real white knuckle when he went off into that corner the first time, you know?
Yeah, I would think. He probably had, and a couple times it probably took once or twice to find where the top was. Because, you know, it's hard to see where those marbles are.
As I said earlier, I think a couple of times yesterday he went way beyond the top. Was up in that gray area.
Derek Cope has retired his car from the event. Transmission failure. He'll be the first one out today. This thing's pretty settled in, and so what we're going to do is take a break here, come back and take you through the field, get updates from pit road on where all your favorites are running. Coming up on 50 miles in the Tropicana 400 in Chicagoland on NBC.
A sun-splashed afternoon at the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, and Tony Stewart out for a Sunday drive. Started from the pole looking for his second win of the season and lapping cars here early in the race. In the garage area this morning, they said he would be the man to beat. Right now, he's simply the man to catch. Outstanding run for Tony Stewart. Let's take you through the field. We're halfway on this fuel load. We'll start with the leader of the race, Tony Stewart, and Matt Yocum.
Tony Stewart living up to those pre-race expectations on a feverish pace as the car's a little bit free, but doesn't want to mess with it. He feels like the racetrack's coming to him. That quick pace is starting to lap cars. The one good thing, he lapped John Andretti, the team that's pitting right in front. He'll have an easy entry and easy exit, Marty.
Somewhere back there behind Tony Stewart is Bill Elliott, the 9 car in second place. A little free in, a little tied off. Bill has his spotter, Tim Fedua. Where is Tony beating me? He said he's beating you by his arc into the corner. A little more of that. We'll catch him. Well, Bill.
Jamie McMurray moving forward in this field right now. They're telling him everybody's staying on the bottom, that his lap times are good, but Jamie has told his team that the car is tight now in the center and off the turn. So moving forward, but the car not totally to his liking. Marty.
Bill, so far, rookie Casey Mears is doing a good job. Started fourth in the 4th position right now. They told him on the radio, the only car catching you is the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Keep doing what you're doing. A little loose to start the race with. He said the front end is sticking better now, but the rear end still just a little bit loose, Matt.
Jeff Gordon said back on lap 10 that he just couldn't get the back end of the race car in the racetrack. Way too free. The car now, though, is starting to tighten up. He said on lap 37, but I don't know if that will be enough to catch anybody, Bill.
Good run for Jeremy Mayfield. Started 5th, has fallen back a little bit in the last few laps because his car is starting to get a little bit tight. Jeremy Mayfield is optimistic about the second half of this season because he believes his team is finally hitting its stride.
That's what you got to do. You got to start running good, better and better every week, and I think that's what a lot of people have seen out of this race team the last 6 weeks, and certainly Dodge has done their part to give us all the resources we need, so it'd be great to win for them and all the Dodge dealers out there in UAW and all of them, but this race team needs to win more than anything, and just be able to be in victory lane with these guys, knowing how hard they worked and what all we've come through is pretty neat.
Jeremy stopped me in the garage at Daytona last week and said, we're going to give you guys something to talk about in the second half. That could start today, although he continues to lose positions as they close in on their first pit stop. Marty.
Bill, Kevin Harvick started 11th, as you saw, just past Jeremy Mayfield, up into the 6th position right now. He didn't say a word until lap 38, just a few laps ago. He started the race a little bit loose. Now the car is just a little bit tight, but his times have fallen off about 3/10 during this run, Matt.
Ryan Newman started 14th, has climbed all the way up to 8th. He finished 2nd in yesterday's IROC race. Feels like a second groove will come in. Right now, though, he says he's losing the nose of the race car, chattering the front tires a bit. If it stays green, they should pit around lap 65, Bill.
Groovy look once again this week for Elliott Sadler. Car not totally to his liking, though. Going to try and improve the handle on it a little bit when they come in, starting to get tight in the center of the turns. That's the story on the 38. Upstairs to Allen.
All right, Bill, 45 laps complete now, and the leader, Tony Stewart, has got a 3.1 second gap on this race for second place.
Not much of a race. Jamie McMurray, the 42 car, caught Bill Elliott, and by him he goes down in turn 1.
Tony Stewart has led all of the laps so far. He has overtaken up to 30th place Ward Burton and put him a lap down. And Joe Nemechek's got troubles.
He's slow off turn 2.
I'm coming in. It's not getting any better. It's got a broken damn valve or something. I'll show you guys.
An engine problem in the 25
It's
car.
spark plug wires, but I smell oil in here.
That's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
Yeah,
So Nemechek to the attention of Peter Suspenzo and his crew at lap 46 with troubles on Rick Hendrick's 25.
That blue smoke is a terrible looking smoke.
Yeah, that doesn't look too good.
So there's the leader, Tony Stewart. 3.5 seconds to now second place Jamie McMurray. We've taken you through the top 10, through the top 9 actually, and we continue to go through the field. Matt, how about Dale Jr.?
Rounding out the top 10 is Dale Jr. running right where he finished last year in the 10th position. Jr. says the car is rolling over on the right front pretty good, but don't plan on adjusting it too much. He says the car is snug in the center as well, Bill.
Rusty Wallace's car just a little bit tight. You heard Benny talk about how they're trying to teach Rusty some new habits by freeing up this car just a little bit. It has tightened up on him. He should pit around lap 64. As for the 15 of Michael Waltrip, this car hasn't been very good to them all weekend. In fact, they weren't very good in the Busch race yesterday, so they didn't learn much from that. Michael is skating his right front tire. We'll try and make a chassis adjustment to improve that. The 99 team moving forward, as Jeff Burton talked about yesterday, but its crew chief Paul Andrews this morning said they're not making strides as fast as they had hoped. But this is 250 career starts for Jeff Burton. A top 10 today might be as good as a win. Dave?
Bill Matt Kempis running right behind his teammate Jeff Burton. We monitored his radio just moments ago and heard this. This morning I talked with crew chief Robbie Reiser, and he told me that the car looked great in practice yesterday. The nose really stayed planted to the ground. It looked good all the way around this racetrack, and he loved the handling of this car. Now, Jimmy Johnson started at the back. We talked about that with motor problems. He's made his way up through the field, and I talked to his crew chief this morning, Chad Knaus. He said we made big changes, but not because the car was bad, but to keep up with this racetrack. Jimmy Johnson now going through the field himself, making his way to the front. Marty?
Well, Dave, after falling back into the 20s, Mark Martin has rallied his way back to the 16th position. The car tight for Mark Martin right now. Pound out of the right front. They'll also take some wedge out of the car, trying to loosen him up just a bit. But he's not falling off like other cars are falling off. Bill?
Jeff Green started 15th in this race, pretty much holding on to that vicinity on the racetrack. They're probably a little bit disappointed through this first run, but had to feel out the car. The car was fast in both practice sessions yesterday. In happy hour, they tried to make some improvements, but it actually slowed down the car, so they went back to their earlier setup. Marty?
Bobby Labonte says his car is extremely loose out on the racetrack right now. Said he can't even get a feel for how the car is because it's so loose. So he has fallen back a little bit in the field, now in the 18th position. Actually, that's where he started, Dave.
Marty, I talked with Booty Barker, crew chief for Dave Blaney, and he said yesterday we made it go, but then it bottomed out. When we raised it up, it wouldn't go. Right now, it's tight in the center of the corner. Well, Greg Biffle has moved his way from the front to the back, unfortunately.
Bill Elliott is on pit road. This is an unscheduled stop. Has to be an unscheduled stop for Elliott.
It's only 52 laps in. That's well short of what he should go on fuel. Marty?
Actually, this is a scheduled stop for Bill Elliott. They are a little short on fuel mileage today, but they didn't think it would be this bad. I just talked to Mike Ford. He said we're going to have to come even earlier than I thought we would have to. His car just a little bit tight. He is happy with the chassis. They do make one air pressure adjustment and one wedge adjustment for Bill Elliott. 4 tires and a little long time on the left rear there for Bill Elliott. Loses a lot of track position here on pit road.
Man, oh man, 52 laps, and some of these cars may be able to run 68, 70 laps.
I remember Kevin Harvick ran 69 laps at the end of last year's race, and that allowed him to go to victory lane. Tony Stewart continuing to set him up and knock him down. He's put Ward Burton, Jack Sprague, and now Johnny Benson. A lap down, Benson running in 26th position. Stewart's led them all so far. Pit stops will begin shortly. We'll come back to Chicagoland Speedway in a moment.